The French family is made up of three, Kent, Michelle, and Everly, and has decided the time is now. We have left fast-paced careers in broadcasting and entertainment, decided to world school our 8-year-old daughter, and packed up our lives to travel the world in an effort to live life to the fullest.
Come with us on our podcast as we chronicle our journey around the globe, bringing you stories of Frenchitivity, which includes the three pillars of possibility, creativity, and tranquility, and ultimately learn what drives others to live life without a net.
On today's Frenchitivity podcast, we discuss opportunity and risk when embarking on a journey with your family.
Whatever opportunity came, we took it, because the opportunity in that moment is never an opportunity, it's always a risk. Opportunity is an opportunity only in the rearview mirror. In the front, it's always a potential risk, right? So we just assessed that and we felt, you know what, it's a bit nervous. So let's not completely sell everything. Let's keep it in the storage. Let's go try for 3 months. So you can always slice the cake to a side which you can handle, or you can have the whole cake, it's okay.
And it's different for every family.
Meet Chinmai and Rashmi Swamy, a family that has been traveling for the last 3 years with their now 5-year-old daughter. Hear how their journey has unfolded and a framework they use to make it work on a daily basis. If you enjoy this episode, please subscribe to the Frenchitivity podcast on your preferred platform. We hope this conversation inspires you.
Kent, Michelle, and Everly spreading Frenchitivity all over the world. This entire family creating possibilities all over the world. Frenchitivity, possibilities all over the world.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Frenchitivity podcast. Kent and Michelle French with you. Everly somewhere in the background crafting. She might make an appearance once again during this. It's been a little while since we've come back to do the podcasting as we are traveling the world, and we have some friends of ours who we met on our world travels who are somewhere in the world. So we'd like to say hello to Chinmai and Rashmi Swamy. Thank you so much, guys, for being with us. And oh my goodness, this is all about, this is what travel's about.
Yes.
Is meeting wonderful people, like-minded people. And we were fortunate enough to meet you guys in Koh Lanta in Thailand through a hub with our families. And when we met you and started talking to you, we're like, we need you on a podcast. Right before we left you guys, you were on your way to Bali. I don't know where we were. And then we did it. We're here talking to you. So this is awesome. We're super excited.
Yeah. Happy to connect. So let's talk about that. How did we meet in Koh Lanta?
Oh, yes.
We met at a pool party.
Yeah, at the pool party, yes.
And you were flying the drone,
like,
weren't you?
And I was flying the drone, yes.
And we always find the people with the equipment. So we're like, we need to use this amazing man that's got the drone.
And talk about latest in the market.
We need to, we'll back this up and kind of talk about how we all ended up to be there. But one of the things we really like to talk about with our friends, our guests, is really what it took for you to end up in Thailand, like how you came to be on the road, how you came to be a traveling family. So maybe take us through a little bit of your history of how you ended up in Thailand.
Okay. Do you want to go or should I go?
You start with the short version. I'll start. No, what I meant is, like, before we got Gia, before Gia was born, just before COVID started, but before she was born, we both were always traveling. We traveled, I think, about 10, 15 countries before we became parents. Then after Gia came and
short travel.
For the short travel. We were like short travel, like visiting for a week or 10 days. But then we knew we enjoyed travel and meeting cultures, and she always wanted to do it on a long term. And she wanted to do it.
Always wanted to stay. I used to say, you know what, I just want to stay for a month in a different country, just live there. And a month somewhere else. But we don't know when we will be able to do that because I was in a full-time job as well.
And then Gia came, and then COVID came, and COVID locked us in for 2 years. And then we realized we accidentally had to visit India because our parents had not seen our daughter. So we went there for 6 months. So it's for 3 months, and then we came back, and then we had to go back again for an emergency. And then we realized, hang on, we have been out of the house for 6 months and we're paying the rent, we're paying the mortgage, so we're paying the concert tax and everything. And we are worried about safety back in London. So why don't we do it intently? Why don't we just actually pack up the house? Nothing changed in our lives. So then
But we just set out to do it for 3 months, actually.
Yeah.
We just said, let's just, you know what, let's just go to Spain. That's our comfort zone. We've been there many times for holidays. So let's just do it for 3 months. We didn't have a plan to lead a nomadic lifestyle. So we didn't really make a big preparation. So it does feel like you need to prep a lot to live like this, that you need to plan months or years ahead. But I think we fit into the other type, where we've done this without that planning, or without taking many months or years to start living this way. So we went to Spain for 3 months, and that changed everything. And it's been more than 2 years now we've been doing this.
Wait,
That's
so
where we
you left
started.
for Spain for 3 months and you've never come back, or did you come back and go, we need to do this?
we would go.
We kept on doing that, like back to London for 2.5 weeks, and then the next location back to London. So when we were in that part of the world, we kept on going back to London. But then I think thanks to Brexit, it doesn't allow allow us to stay in Schengen countries for more than 3 months at a time. So we had to look at other options, and that kind of got us to Asia.
I think in a way that was the turning point, because when you were in Spain, we really loved it, and I wanted to stay longer. So I wanted to see what visa options we had. So I had a meeting with a solicitor and asked him what visa options I had. And then he said, oh, you can take the digital nomad visa. I'm like, what's the digital nomad visa? And then that's when I heard the word nomad for the first time. And I'm like, well, you know what? I don't have to be in Spain. Or like, didn't know this kind of thing existed. And so in a way,
But hey, we are digital nomads.
digital nomads. I never realized that.
We didn't know there was a term, and now we are.
We know our term, exactly.
Yes, yes.
Digital nomads.
So what, like, if you're listening and you're wondering, I want to be a digital nomad, I want to do this, I want to have a specific thing. What I want to tell you is that what you do every day, like as in, like you're working as a team with your family, setting out, creating life on a daily basis, having goals. Yes, that's fun. But then we never had this as a vision board. We never had this as a goal. Like this just turned around. So the magic happens in the ordinary. So we just carried on. We just did what was needed. We had fun. We worked as a team, and we just did what was needed on a daily basis. And we were true to ourselves. And whatever opportunity came, we took it, because the opportunity in that moment is never an opportunity. It's always a risk. Opportunity is an opportunity only in the rearview mirror. In the front, it's always a potential risk, right? So we just assessed that, and we felt, you know what? Yeah, it's a bit nervous. So let's not completely sell everything. Let's keep it in the storage. Let's go try for 3 months. So you can always take the side, slice the cake to a side which you can handle, or you can have the whole cake, it's okay.
And it's different for every family, right?
Family.
Of course. Absolutely.
Take the gradient step that you can take. So that's what we did. We did what was comfortable for us.
I love everything that you said and the way you said it, because it makes it much more tangible depending on how people are approaching it. And I think you're right, like to say, well, you could plan for a long time depending on what you want to do, and every family is different. But one thing that you also said is how you look at every situation, that the opportunity is that's the rearview mirror. It's the risk. So I want to talk about that for a second, because it sounds like I had this idea and you're like, yeah, let's go. And sometimes when we say that out loud, it's like, oh yeah, that sounds so lovely. Of course you just went to Spain, but like, hold on, you don't just like go to Spain with your young daughter. So what did you think about in terms of what you were leveraging in your skill set that you already had? Like, how did you know it was going to work out? It was going to be okay. It was a risk, but what did you leverage? What did you risk? Kind of what were you willing to risk to see if that opportunity was going to work? It sounds like you were both working full time at the time. So talk about how that unfolded, and what did you risk to make this happen?
Well, at that time,
I think it was, I had taken a break from my work, and I was just thinking of going back to a corporate job.
Yeah.
I had started I'd started giving interviews, and when this realization hit that we've been away from the country for this long, let's do it with intention and not just by accident. That's when I decided, okay, no, I'm going to continue the break or continue the pause. And we just decided to give it a go. We made a conscious decision to continue as a single earner family. And yeah, I think that needed that was the risk,
Yeah.
a big risk that we kind of took it on the chin and decided to give it a go. And thankfully, everything has worked well, and we are able to manage well that way.
Yeah. Well, and I think you said, that's a risk in sort of a financial way, as you're describing it too, of
Yes,
like being
yes.
a single income family or one earner family. But it's also a risk in, and this is a little bit of the side that I like to dive into sometimes too, is like, it's also a risk that you had a corporate career, you had established a certain maybe identity that was tied to that, some, conditioned things that might be going on about what that looks like, and decided to say, yeah, but maybe this other thing will be right for my family. So I'd love for you to give a couple of reflections on what that took for you to say, yeah, that's okay. I can leave my corporate career and pursue something that has a different tone maybe than what I've been taught I should be pursuing.
Sure. Yes. So to start with, I would say I loved my job. I enjoyed it a lot, no matter the hours or whatever challenges it brought. I always, enjoyed working. So it was a big change, not working and leading a complete different life with a little one. But after having Gia, I did feel like I was not ready, at least for the first couple of years. I was not ready to leave her anywhere and go back to a job. And also I quickly came to the realization that if I do want to go to a corporate job, the type of enjoyment or the satisfaction I was getting before may not work now, because what I needed to put in to get that and doing that with a child would mean very little time with a child or on a daily basis. And I straight off knew that I wouldn't be the person. I wouldn't be happy with that, and I would always probably be working towards hoping to strike a balance, which it's very hard. So I straight off knew that. And also I think the other key turning point for us was we made a decision that we want to homeschool Gia. So that was a key turning point. And we had to decide, okay, who is going to be the primary parent who will be with her and who will take the lead on homeschooling? And that was me. So I think that really helped us align our decision. So we just had to pick our priorities. And this was more of a priority for us. So we decided, yes, okay, it's homeschooling. That means I continue the career break I have taken. And we definitely want to give it a good shot and see if it works for us. We always said that, if it didn't work for us, we could go back to the way we were living. But we are first going to give it a good shot.
Yeah, well said. I think a lot of people can relate to how you explained that, feeling as a parent and when you're ready to leave and what you want to put into anything you're doing, that 100%, 110%. Well, we only have so much. We only have 100%.
Yes.
So I think you're very relatable in that way. So yeah, thank you for sharing. That makes sense. And I also really appreciate that you said, this is a constant evaluation. We choose this life for the amount of time that it works for all members of our family. And that is something that we discuss all the time. Like, what about this works? What about this to lights us up? What about this is right for our daughter? So making those decisions and knowing the commitment is only as long as you want the commitment to last.
Right.
Like home is always, wherever,
exactly. You can always change your mind.
You can always change your mind. Yeah.
When you got on the plane and had made that decision that this is the new lifestyle that you were going to lead, and it wasn't 3 months, this is a thing you're going for it. What were some of the biggest fears that you guys had to overcome to make sure that this was going to work?
Top of my mind. Okay, you go first, and then I'll share
For
now.
me, the fear was because I was already there. Because I like to get rid of things which don't serve a purpose in my life, like as an objects and thing. So I just want anything which doesn't serve a purpose is a mess in my life. So I like to get rid of things, even files digitally or physically or emotionally or with the thing. So I'm like, okay. So I knew the challenge which I will have is I'll go out and I'll come back to the storage and I'll be like, oh my God, why do I need this? I lived for a year without you. I knew that's going to happen. So my challenge was how to not be how not to look at my past with disgust. Because that helped me, because every time I went, I had the first feeling of completely drained my energy because of the amount of resistance I had. When I went to the storage room after the first sprain, I'm like, oh my God, I don't want you. But then I forgot that everything there served a purpose for one time. It was part of my life at some point. But now I can't just look at it and say, oh, I don't like you. So that was my big challenge. I knew immediately that then it's going to affect me. I'm going to be at effect and not be at cause over this. So that was my only, that I knew it's, and then I'm going to bring that out on my family. I'm going to bring that out on others. So I'm like, okay, and then I will end up throwing things away, which I don't need. And then realize, oh, what did I throw? So I wanted to kind of come to peace with my part, with the things I had. And I know that we may come back to this life. We may not, but I don't want to completely burn my ship, because I don't want to do that way. I want to use that. I want to look back and say, what an amazing life I had. Not look at it and say, oh my God, I can't be glad I'm away from it. So that was my inner engineering, which I had to go through.
And we still go through when it comes to packing and unpacking time.
So, and the biggest challenge I had, and that was the first one. The second one was surrendering to the fourth check-in bag. We had to surrender.
2 years on.
2 years on, we held on to just one check-in bag each, and we carried on our home with just one check-in bag
Per person.
And then I said, you know what? An extra $40 is worth the peace in my marriage. Take it. Take the fourth check-in bag. You can have whatever you want. Take it.
Yeah.
So we kind of surrendered to that.
Yeah.
It's so great. I actually really appreciate this. This is just like a quick interjection, because the packing thing, it's always the number one question in our experience, right? Like, how did you pack for this? What do you have? And we're all like, sometimes you don't want to peel back the curtain. You're like, you know what? We'll just forget it. Don't worry about it. But I remember you actually sent a picture, and I so appreciate you. You sent a picture when you were leaving Thailand, heading to Bali, and you're just like, here we go. And I showed Kent that today. I said, what? They have some bags, because a lot of people we interact with, right, have like a backpack or like one little
Yeah.
And we're like, we just don't travel like that either. We just sent more stuff back. We're becoming more lean. But I appreciate that, like, if you're going to be gone this long, you can have some belongings. Like, you can have some stuff.
Yes. Yeah, that's something I think we learned it the hard way, because we used every time we packed as arguments, right? Like, God, why do you have so much stuff? And then I think one of the key turning points where we weighed each other's clothes, because his usual complaint was, I have too many clothes. Why do you need it? And then we weighed it. And his was 5 kilos and mine was 5.5 kilos.
Wow.
You can't argue
Ended
about
that. That's
having
it.
to give up.
So
Yeah,
no
that's
more talking about clothes.
amazing.
And then we also made the decision to carry more stuff for Gia, because we realized that, depending on at what level,
I know.
what age your kid is,
So
you just make that decision, right? What she needs.
That's true.
And you may not find that thing in the country you're going to. So we just decided it's okay. It's important. We are living a different way, and these things are needed. So she doesn't have to wait many months to be able to be in a certain country to enjoy skating or something like that. Let's just take it with us.
Well, what you mentioned is that we too met other couples who are living with a backpack or living with thing on. So what we keep reminding each other is that, hey, their life is different. We don't have to copy them or be judged by them or be judged. That is amazing. So they're doing what is right for them, just like how their travel plans are right for them. We love being in Bali for 6 months, and doesn't mean that, we met them, that couple's going all over Asia. Maybe we should cancel our Bali plan. So we're like, no, we realize that everyone is different. But what we all have in common is that we are intentionally want to live our life on our terms. Then by us being influenced by another couple's packing habits or travel plans, are we living our intentionally or are we being influenced? So we're not. So both ways are the same. So if you're thinking of oh, I need to do it exactly like this person. I need to travel like this person. Well, those are just different ways of how you can do it.
It just makes it harder if you try to
You'll
do
never
it
be able to do what me and Rashmi do. You will never be able to do how we plan our day. And for example, I run my own business, or online coaching business, which requires me to which requires me to work midnight hours. So I work from 9 p.m. till 5 a.m. in the morning for a few days in a month, or sometimes few days in a week. And I wake up late. Does it mean that I don't have a morning routine? Does it mean that I'm not an early person? Does it mean if I don't wake up at 6 a.m., I'm not a successful person? Well, I've published 4 books. And I travel the world and I speak internationally. So we have an amazing life. So everything. So the rules which you set by the people, like, you have to be an early riser. You need to have a morning routine. It's whatever you need to do to get to yourself. If you want to travel the world, give it, take a small step towards that. Do it in your way. Do it in your style. Because if you can do it in your style, maybe that's what inspires someone else to do it. And because we're doing it in our style, we still have a lot of stuff in our storage, and we are still coming to our terms to figure it out how to get rid of it. But does that mean that we are still paying, we're still having all our storage there? And we met another couple who said, we got rid of all our storage, we have nothing. Okay, good for them.
It is definitely, we do take inspiration from that, but that does create food for thought. Yeah. And it's not possible to immediately implement that, but it definitely inspired us.
And we also evaluate if that's what we want to evaluate, because every time we get inspired, the way we are able to do this for a few years is that we have 3 core purposes we evaluate. One is our productivity, to bring in the income, these are 3 non-negotiable purposes. That is one. The second is our personal partnership. And third is our parenting for Gia. So these 3 is non-negotiable. So if we say we want to go to, let's say we were evaluating 2 weeks ago. She wanted to go to Flores for a week, and then
2 weeks
for a few weeks. 2 weeks.
We don't go anywhere for 1 week anymore.
Yeah,
With 2 tags.
So we were like, okay, and we looked at the dates that we could travel, and I had my online workshop events, which was on the same week, and Gia's classes in Sanoshis in dancing and singing, and that was impacted as well, and tennis was impacted. So we looked at it and says, can we do it any other week? And we couldn't do any other week. That was the only 2 weeks we could, or 10 days we could do. And we were like, hey, if you want to do that, we're going to compromise on 2 of the 3 purposes, the pillars of our life. So that doesn't make sense. Then we immediately felt, let's cancel Flores for now.
Yeah.
If we do it, we'll do it, else we will not do it. And that way, we were not against each other. We were solving the problem. We were like, that's the situation. We were not at each other personally thinking, oh, you never do what I want to do, or we always do what you want to do. It was that, does it serve the 3 pillars of our life?
Yeah.
If it doesn't, it doesn't. So
I really
that's all we
appreciate
have.
that you have discussed and set up ahead of time your personal decision-making filter. Here's how we'll evaluate these decisions. So nothing is, like you said, with resentment or willy-nilly, everything sort of has an alignment, a purpose, an agreement, and it's based on your values. It's based on what is most important to you, and you clearly defined that. So that decision-making becomes much easier versus sort of just laboring over certain things. And even if that's right now, well, when is it that these 3 pillars can align and we can do that thing? Okay, great. We can just do it another time. You've just set up a nice framework, which I think is really powerful. I think that's a really tremendous takeaway for anyone who is considering this kind of lifestyle or wants to just be inspired by it. It's in your current life, how are you aligned with your values? When we made this decision, that was a huge part of are we living our values? Are we aligned? And there was maybe some misalignment in certain areas. Okay, how do we get back on track with that? And then as we carry on, we can always refer back to that. So people just knowing what their values are and setting up some decision-making framework around that, it's sure makes a lot of things a lot easier.
I just saw a little head run behind you.
Yes.
And it's on this point though. We've been we're traveling. You guys are busy, obviously in Bali and doing your thing, but we're trying to coordinate a time. And I appreciate that it's like jihad dance, and we couldn't do it then.
Yes,
Like
you
we
prioritize.
set those boundaries,
Yes.
and it was really cool to hear you do that, because we are trying to find our boundaries on the road. We feel like we need to do everything, go everywhere, be everywhere. It's nice that you were able to define, make it definitive, like, no, this is one of the pillars. We need to be with our daughter and support our daughter. And we were like, oh, that's awesome.
Awesome.
We were excited
Thank you.
that you guys had that. I do want to ask you too, part of this journey for us is meeting people like you. We said at the very beginning, and meeting wonderful people with like minds of thinking outside the box. And really, we've kind of an underlying message of this podcast is jumping off that cliff without a net, not just kind of taking that leap of faith. But to do so, sometimes it helps to have a support group, a support system when you're doing that. But to make a life-changing decision like we both have made, you might not have that support group. People might be a little skeptical. I wanted to know, when you made that decision that you were going to take on this new life and live life on the road, what type of dialogue did your friends and family have surrounding this?
I think we were lucky because the people we spoke to, so we have quite a lot of friends in London, and anybody we spoke to, they were all so excited for us. And they were like, yeah, do it, just do it, and we shared all our insecurities and concerns with them, and all the what ifs with them. And they were kind of like a bouncing board. We could share our concerns with them, and we would eventually end up with the answer like, yeah, what if? We'll find out once we know, once we go. So let's just do it. So anybody we spoke to, they were all like, go for it. The only question I think sometimes people would have is, what about Gia? She's coming up to preschool age. What about that? Have you guys thought about that? And and when we explained to them about homeschooling factor, they were, convinced with that. So I think we were really lucky that way. Nobody really scared us with anything. All our friends were incredibly supportive, and our family too. Our parents were actually excited there, and they were like, oh, you guys are always up to doing something new nobody's done. Oh, we are happy for you. So that way we were lucky, I would say. And I think this kind of connects to, Kent, your previous question was the challenges that we were concerned of, or what worried you the most. I think one of the things I really wanted to say was being a single child family and moving her away from her friends and from things that she's used to, that was definitely a concern. And we prepped for it. That bit, we did intentionally put some prep for it, as to prepare her, explain to her how this won't be her bed, she won't have all her things, and get her involved in the process of sorting out the items. So Gia felt that she had some control as well, because she picked and chose the items she wanted to take with her. And she understood that even though I think when we started, she was 3.5, she understood that she cannot take all her toys with her. We created a box saying, this is for the suitcase, this is the storage box. So she made the decision. And we also made a giveaway box. So she picked and put it into 3 boxes. I think that was one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, through that process, you're instilling some things in her that are also wonderful lifelong. So it's actually even, Chinmai, what you were saying, like, oh, I had this attachment to these things, and then I don't even want these things. And it's taking her through this process so young and early of like, what has meaning to me and why, and how I can even sometimes be a little more lean with the things. But those creature comforts for them go a long way. And just a few things go a really long way, letting her be part of that process. And
That's a very good point.
That'd be one of your concerns or thoughts going into it.
Yeah.
And I want to add something which is about the support group and the friends and family. Let's say we were very lucky, but maybe you who are listening may not have that kind of support. Maybe you might faced with criticism and it's how it's masked as devil's advocate. Well, you know what? For you, what would help us? Because it's not that we didn't face that in other areas of life. It's just this travel was excitement and more, and everybody loved travel. But then we would also face that criticism in other aspects of life. So the way we do that is always we have going back to the principle of having our own values. The same thing from the beginning. From the beginning, when we got married, we had a boundary. Like as in we protect. We are always at cause. We don't take any information in. Like as in
Yeah.
what the thing is that we would make decisions based on our terms, but we would always welcome everyone's input, but that will never be a final input. So we would respect everyone. So that way, if you're worried that your friends might come back, not support you, but as long as you and your partner are completely aligned, then that's all it matters. Because you don't need external validation to do this. You're doing this for you.
Yeah.
Right? If you're doing this because you want everyone to agree with you and then you do it, then you're already in a weak spot to begin with. You'll always find challenges. But if you're aligned with you and you're like, yeah, I know what I'm doing with absolute certainty, but I don't need anyone else to validate my idea. I'm just telling them because we are going to miss them and they're going to miss us. There will be a change in our relationship, in our communication. So that's why the reason I'm telling them is a change in communication rather than seeking their approval or validation. If I'm internally know that, then I don't need any support group. And the best support group we have found is other people with the same mindset, with the same viewpoint.
That's been the best part of this lifestyle, the connections that we've made.
Yes, absolutely. Let's talk more about that because that is, of course, how we were fortunate enough to meet. And briefly on our end, we had in the beginning of our travels the same idea of we'll be on the road a little less than a year, kind of an intentional time frame, and we would go to each place for a month. And we would ingrain ourselves and we would learn everything. We'd be part of the community. And that's how it was going to be. And then we started traveling and we realized like a month is actually very hard to like establish yourself as if you lived there. Like you don't actually live there, but you can emulate the lifestyle and you can be ingrained, but you don't live there. And so our first few months were beautiful and amazing, but also quite challenging in terms of really seeking this like connection and not quite having it yet. And so it wasn't until we came to Thailand and realized that there were hubs, world schools, other communities. So I'd be really curious from you, even Spain, any other parts of Europe, and then when you went to Asia, Southeast Asia, like when did you start discovering community of like-minded travel families? How did that unfold for you?
So when we started, that wasn't there. And I think the first destination is always a place where you learn a lot of lessons, which kind of helps you to define your priorities for this lifestyle. Because after that, it became very clear how we filter out the location, the destination we go to, what is the priority. One main thing is the community, which when we moved to Spain, we really didn't think about that. We were just looking at, we want a property on the beach. It needs to have swimming pool, blah, blah, blah. These were the things that was in our list. And then we realized, oops, okay, we've landed in a resort town. We didn't even know it's a resort town. And it was empty the first month we were there because it was all just second homes. And then there were the families for Gia. For us, it's okay. But then for a kid, it's important. So that's when we started realizing, okay, how do we need to navigate this? So that's when we started going on Facebook more. We found out about Worldschooling and that there is a group. What is Worldschooling? Okay, that's when we got to know. And then once I joined the Worldschooling group, it was like opening a can of, I wouldn't say opening a can of worms, but I would say opening a can of roses maybe. Because every other idea people would post over there was fantastic. To just, you could do that. Oh, you could do this. It was like that. So that's when we started looking into where these other communities are. And this was our first one, the one in Thailand, where we all met. That was the first time being part of the hub. And I'm so thankful we were part of that hub, right? So, and now that we know about it, we are going to make sure that it's part of our travel every year.
And shout out to the Arshads, by the way, too.
Yes.
Nadim who put this all together. And you are in Bali. There is a Bliss. So it's called Bliss, is this homeschooling hub, if you will. there's one in Bali, correct? There's
Yes, yes, yes.
And this is like, there's no one here organizing it. Like, it's not like it's a community. So you all come in and then you put in things.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
You
Put in
because
what
if
you
you want some, we realized that we were here in Bali last year for 6 months, and we were actively going out to cafes. Anytime we hear someone speak in English, we would go and say, "Hey, hi, how are you? Are you here on holiday? Are you stay here?" If you're staying here, we exchange numbers. We would do that everywhere: cafes, restaurants, airport, waiting for luggage.
Yes,
everywhere.
yes.
Hey, you're coming in. And then we would make friends all over. We would try to we built our own community in Bali last year. And this year we came in Bliss, and then we were told that Bliss Hub is not active in Bali. Like, I think it was just new. Like, then great. But, because Arshad inspired us in Kolanta. So like, okay, let's go see how it is. And
I think we came in with that inspiration from Kolanta after seeing everything over there.
And we realized it's so easy. And even if there's no hub, even if there's no Worldschooling hub, like if you're on a place, if you're wondering that you need to travel, you need to have a hub first and then go to a travel. Well, all you need is you need to find like-minded people in the area. And the first place in Spain we found out was in Facebook group. So I just went to Facebook groups and I searched, and there was an expat community there. So I said, hey, we are here, we introduced ourselves. And then I introduced myself. I copy-pasted to 10 different groups in Spain. And one of them came back saying, hey, we're meeting in Soft Play on Sunday. Do you want to join? I'm like, perfect. Okay, let's go join.
That's where
And
it
that's
started.
it. Like, we just met a community there. They were not travelers like us, and we were not travelers. It was the first part. But then we met our first problem of Gia having English-speaking friends resolved, and that's great. And it was so easy. We never thought it was going to be. So if you're wondering that you need to have everything lined out, you need to have a hub, you need to have a school, you need to have friends. Well, we didn't have it. We figured it out. And what made us before allowed us to thrive more on this travel. Like, if you think of it, that this lifestyle is not something that you keep it on automatic. You have to constantly keep creating it. Yeah. So you have to, like, if we're living in one country and you're going for a job, it's great if you love it. And everything is set for, you already have your constants in life. But here, there are some constants. Constants for us is not physical. It's more of a spiritual thing, like values and principles. But the variables are the city and the house we live. So
and the routine changes every country we go to.
The routine changes every country. Like when we were in Kolanta, we had amazing activities. We would go on the beach. We would have frisbee, and we would have games day on Monday and Wednesday, craft. And
I would like to say something about that. So what Bliss provides, I think for any families who are not sure to starting off on their own, I think they should just start off and join a Bliss Hub.
Yeah.
That should be the first place to start, because they are kind of, it's guaranteed that they'll have a great time, and then they can use it as a buffer to get ready to do this in locations where hubs are not there.
I think
have these conversations with like-minded people to find that support group, if they need it, if they need to ask questions. And what I found is, I want to talk about Gia in a moment, how she's grown through this process, because we've seen leaps and bounds with Everly, with our daughter, but I didn't realize how much I needed Bliss, how much I needed that interaction with other English-speaking people, like-minded people, because you can do this. We have a good core as a family unit, but you need that interaction. And that was, I didn't realize it until I got to Bliss and I met you guys and met some other families. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is good for all of us. Did you guys feel the same way?
Yes.
Totally. Yes. We kind of didn't know we needed that.
Right.
And when it was a blast. I was like, oh my God, where was this? How can I be part of this all the time?
And I didn't know I needed the dad's night out. And I just never I'm like, what? Really? Oh, okay. And I went out, like, just so nice to hang out with other men, other husbands that's playing thing. And like, wow, I made so many new friends. And I'm like, when was the last time I made friends like this? So it was such a nice thing. And that came back, that added more energy back into the family. It always adds. Like,
it's very common that after a certain age that we don't really venture out to make new friends. Yeah. Unless someone comes in our way because we are doing the same thing, we kind of stick to the friends we know. Friends from work, friends from college, and friends from childhood, whoever is part of our group, we just stick to that. We don't make time out to go make new friends, but part of this lifestyle, that's changed. We never imagined that we will have so many new connections at this, stage in our life, especially with a kid. What you hear is once you have a kid, oh, you won't have much time for friends. Your group kind of gets smaller because just the way how you split your time in a routine lifestyle. But then now we have just expanded that way. We have so many friends all around the world, and it's amazing.
If you're listening and you think that, oh, I'm not good at making friends, it may be difficult. Let me tell you, when you're in the city, it's really not easy to make friends because everyone is so locked in. They're focused on their routine. They're just going from one task to the task. They're just not. Their only goal is to get through the day. That's it. But here, when you're traveling, they are free from that. And other people are there. They are there because they want to be there, not because they have to be there. And in that mindset, it's very easy to connect with people. So if you don't feel like, oh, I don't know how to make friends, I don't know how to make friends. Like I said, I would find it difficult to. Like I can go with now inspired by this lifestyle. I can go and make friends with. I can go and approach anybody back home, but I know for a fact I won't get the same response back. The rejection will be higher there back in London when I went. But here, anyone would say hi. We'll have a chat with you. You can have a coffee with them, and it'd be much easier to make friends.
Yes, and again, you're modeling that for your daughter. That in life we are presented opportunities where people naturally become our friends because of where we are, and that's really lovely. And we can extend ourselves beyond that and meet people from all over who teach us different things. And I think for us, exactly, we didn't know everything that we needed, but what the like-mindedness provides is these other encouragements, these models of how other families are doing it. And to your point before, not that we're going to be able to emulate or copy that or, be influenced by their exact routine or schedule, but you see all these other families that are, and so we're like, oh, we're not the only ones seeking something else. We're not the only ones willing to sort of push the limits and think what else is possible. There's other people out there. How are they doing it? And how are they making it sustainable? And what are they up to? And what are they like? And finding these friendships in a completely different way than we would, like you said, typically, where it's like, oh, we do the same things. We hang out at the same place. Like, of course, we're going to be friends. This is very different. This is like, we would never have met. We have lots of things in common in our values and our alignment to a bigger picture once we begin chatting. But maybe we wouldn't have had a chance to meet these people. So it's very life-giving in general to just be like, wow, look at how cool people are. Look at all these cool people everywhere. It's just really cool and inspiring.
Yeah, I mean, again, we're talking to you guys. This is a byproduct of everything that we were talking about. Rashmi, you mentioned when you guys made this decision, obviously one of the concerns or challenges was to make sure Gia was taken care of and that she was going to be good with this process. If you could, for everybody, listening out there, what is a day like for Gia? What is this world school thing? Right, because it's so unconventionally beautiful that we're finding out with Everly. What has this done for her, and again, what is a day like for Gia?
Okay, so what's a day like in her life? In Gia's life changes depending on where we are. So everywhere we go, we establish that routine it takes us a couple of weeks to establish that routine. Like when we are part of hubs, then it's already preset because the hub comes with a calendar of activities and we just pick and choose the ones that are appropriate for her interest and for her age. So that kind of defines the routine for her. But in a place like when there is no hub, or let's say there is a hub, but it doesn't fill every day, then we go with what are her likes or what are the activities she likes to do. And we usually try to find some kiddie venues nearby, whether it's a trampoline park or a soft play or something like that. So then we kind of bring that into our week and have a designated day for those activities. So right now, Mondays and Fridays are her busy days. So she is homeschooled. Mondays and Fridays are busy we have our Bliss Hub Games meet up on Monday. followed by, she has her hip hop lesson, dance lesson, and then tennis, and our tennis on Mondays. So that takes up the whole day. And Fridays, sometimes we have beach meetups on Fridays, sometimes not. And then she has her singing lesson and tennis. So Mondays and Fridays are fixed. All the other days are free. So we try to, now that she's 5, we have started some intentional time towards math and phonics, math and English.
And plenty of games.
And plenty of games, yeah. Lots of card games. So every couple of months that changes what she really likes. And the one she likes, we will be playing that game maybe, 10, 15 times a day, depending on how quick the game is. So that's also part of her learning, really, because all her math until now is through games. It's through card games. We have not done math using a book or anything else so far.
Yeah.
We've just like started writing numbers now.
Great.
So that's how. So we have 2 days fixed, and 3 days remain. 3 days, 3 weekdays. Sorry, 2 days fixed, 5 days no fixed schedule, and those 5 days we fill it up with things that she likes. If she likes gymnastics, we just do a drop-in class, or maybe go and try an art session, or do batik, or do some climbing,
So it's making
or
her
catch up with friends who are traveling as well and who are visiting here. That's what we've been doing this week.
perfect. We try to make her at cause at all the time. Yeah, what is it that you want? And even if we do use numbers from the book, but then if we feel at that time at her interaction, if she feels that she's learning better, she wants to enjoy more with the game, then play with the game. But then it always comes back. She'll have more. She will surprise us with her math or phonics and the writing skills suddenly out of the blue. So that's the power of homeschooling. That's what we are able to take charge of her education and make her in charge. And we are just,
And especially now when she's so young, I think it's working really well, not having a rigid framework where she is forced to go somewhere and sit in our classroom. So right now it's working really well for this age, for sure.
In what aspect of her life have you seen her grow the most from this experience?
Oh, I think adapting to change, really, because it's so difficult. It's difficult for us, having seen so much in life and experienced so many things. We find it difficult. We still miss our home, our previous home in London. We miss a lot of things about it. And sometimes Gia does think about it, and she does I know that she's feeling the same way. We kind of match our feelings that way. I think the way she's understood how this lifestyle works and how she gets it is incredible. She got it, I think it took her about 3 to 4 months or so to understand that every time, how long we are in a country or in a location, or how long we are in that house. That was an important, I think for her, she was in one house for 3 years of her life. She didn't know anything else. And leaving that was a big change. And then understanding that wherever we are not going to be there for many years. And that house is only going to be for 2-3 months. It will change again. And so that part, we used to prep her before we move, 2 weeks before we move. So she understands. So when she was much younger, I would draw boxes for every day with a different picture in the box that represents what we're doing on that day. And the last day in that country, we'll have an aeroplane. So she knows we are, and then packing up. So she kind of understands. So now we don't need to do that. If we tell her 10 days, she knows. So I think that part, just her understanding that, she comes and asks, Mama, how long are we going to be here? Are we going to be here 1 more month? Or can we stay here more than that, 2 months? She comes and asks those questions. And sometimes her questions are coming from a point of view where I think she's thinking about a toy, or she's thinking about something, a friend she wants to play with, or something that she knows she cannot take with her. So she comes and asks us, how long do I have here? So I think that's what she's calculating.
That's wonderful.
So that's been a big change.
the ability to relate to that of like what you're looking forward to or what would be different at the next place. And like you said, that skill set of being adaptable to change. And these are things that, you know, are harder to just teach, right? We can teach a lot of the other skill sets and the other academics, but that resiliency in life, that adaptability in our experience, that comes with kind of these pushing those boundaries and moving around a bit and trying to experience what that all is. So that's really cool. And I think you've also said you commit to go, you kind of, do you call it, are you slow traveling? You long travel? Like what's the minimum amount of time you'll spend at any one place? Is it 6 months?
Like there are two types of travel.
Probably minimum.
Like for example, we're in Bali now. If you have to do a visa run, we would just do a few days visa run. That's different. That's like you would visit Singapore for, like we're going to KL next week. We went to KL last month. We went in the morning, came back in the night. So we did like, that's the shortest.
That was just a visa run.
I know, but those are different purpose. But then the shortest is what? Like
Now, I think shortest is most likely, and shortest is 2 months, I think. 2 months. And what we try to do is we try to stay what the visa, you know, the visitor or the tourist visa allows maximum. So we don't have the unnecessary admin on top of this. So we just try to get out of the country before that time is up. But there are places where if we really like it, then we do extend. We decide to put in the work to extend the visa. Whatever admin is needed, we get that sorted. But minimum would probably be
logistics.
Yes.
How long we can be different places, like making sure that we're always confined to where we are.
Yeah. So 1 or 2 months, I would say. And also like, because work is priority. So if we travel fast, then it takes a hit on work. So that's also why we do slow travel. And I think, we like the space. It really suits us.
Yeah.
So again,
nice
do what suits your family. Again, do what suits your family. You don't have to just follow. You don't have to copy what others are doing. Copy our intention, not our actions. Do your own actions.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, and since you mentioned work, this would be a great place to kind of to circle back. We could talk for hours. We find you so interesting and you know, well said in your intentions and very inspiring. But like you said, you have a unique work. You're welcome. A unique work schedule right after where you work hours. And is that because you're working with clients in London, or what is kind of the scope? Since you're digital nomad, you could work with almost anyone anywhere. But what is that scope, and how do you align that work schedule so that you can enjoy where you are, but you're also working to make it sustainable? How are you figuring that out?
So like I have my clients, most of my clients are in Canada and in London, Canada and US. So I work, and so I have I use Eastern time zone as a standard operating time zone for all clients to operate on that. And that's probably why if I'm in Bali, it's like a 12-hour ahead. So that's probably why the challenges. And I know in being digital nomad, I should have the flexibility of working on my time. But then if what would life be if I get to do anything I want to do, however I want to do, whenever I want to do, without any kind of responsibilities and accountabilities and so right. So this is the life which I started, and an online coach, and my clients are based there. So I still love working that side, and I haven't figured out starting a business in this part of the world. So until then, I love working on that time zone. And my partner is based in Canada, Toronto. So I work with him and I support his company. So we all work. So the time zone there, when we go further away, and she says she wants to go to Australia and New Zealand, I'm like,
no, that's 3 hours. So 3-4 hours. Yeah, that's also why we are. Yeah, the way we pick destinations is it does influence. Yeah, even though we can go wherever we want to go, but then no, we cannot because of
Well, and I think you've introduced something too that, I mean, obviously it's been clear throughout this whole conversation, but there is still discipline, and there is still schedule, and there is still considerations. And I think that if anyone's considering this lifestyle, that is something that, you know, there is still these structure. There's still obligations. Like we laugh sometimes. We're like, just because we're traveling, we still have to make dinner. Like we didn't just like leave every,
Yeah.
sort of structure or responsibility. So we happen to be able to make dinner we're currently in New Zealand, speaking of time changes and kind of adjusting to things. So we still have to make dinner. It gets to happen to be in a most beautiful place, and that's incredible. But there are still these obligations that we've chosen on purpose to, sustain the lifestyle as well. So I think you make a really good point that just because we're maybe saying digital nomad, that doesn't mean like free for all.
Oh, there's still responsibility and everything. Exactly. As if you're talking to Gia and I was watching Everly open the fridge and try to get tomatoes out of there. Now the fridge is stuck and it won't close. So it's those things are happening.
Life still happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, she won't be able to hear because we are on the.
Oh, she's another thing. Okay, we'll just take this.
Like,
As we do kind of wrap this up, because we're coming, I think Michelle said we could keep talking to you guys forever, but Chinmai, I did want to ask you regarding your coaching business, how has this digital nomad lifestyle helped with your business? Because I can only imagine the credibility that you have now, like you're telling people to take that risk and there's a way to do something differently and live life like you want to live it. You're doing it. Like, how has that helped what as those conversations that you help have with those other people?
well, the way that helped is that my clients and new people, I think they have certainly been like inspired by what we're doing. They're like, oh, I want to be like you. I want to be like you. So the best thing before this, I my clients would be like, yeah, why do I need to take that action? Why do I need to change? And this, what I have found is that the best way to change or to create change in the world is to set an example. The moment we set an example, we started to do something which we thought was thing. The moment was that our clients were like, oh, I want to do that. Oh, I want to. My clients are all like now inspired to do what I'm doing, and they keep saying, oh, I'm going to this place. I want to. So it creates that not just with clients. Some of our family members come to and say, hey, how did you quit your job? I really want to do what you're doing. And it started to that's how we are able to kind of create some small sparks in others. And we also at time when we feel like, it's time to when we hit our lows and we are like, we kind of take that as an inspiration. And coming back, not just my business, not as in this life, if you're considering whether this lifestyle is for you or you don't have to be permanent. That's one thing. You're always in charge.
Yeah.
But one thing you have to know is that this is like you're in a constant state of emergency. What means that you're not taking anything for granted. You're creating it on the go. There's nothing on automatic. There's nothing stable. You're creating things. So in that state, your strengths and weaknesses get amplified. So what you're doing good now, you will do more of it. And what the areas of your life which are not organized will really be the point of weakness in this life. So you will find, so because of that, you will have higher highs and lower lows. So that is what you expect in this life. So as long as you're aware of that, you'll enjoy, you'll be in control.
Wow, words of wisdom right there. That was very powerful. Living this lifestyle in this moment and hearing that, very powerful. And yeah, anyone listening, there's been many practical things given throughout this conversation and many inspirational. And I think what you're both doing is incredible, and what you're doing for your daughter is amazing. And we're so fortunate to get this time with you. We appreciate it, and look forward to seeing you in person.
Thank you so much. It was lovely chatting with you.
And you're inspiring
We're
us
going to see you in person in Bali.
Yes. We'll see you
We're
in
going to see you guys again on the
weeks.
road. We're
Yes.
excited.
Yes, that would be so cool.
Do you have any ways that if people did want to follow your adventure or get in touch with you, or were interested in motivational or coaching or the mindset work, is there ways that they can get in touch with you?
Yes, we have followers on Instagram. The best thing, we created one called the Wealthy Nomad Life handle. So if you follow us, we get to know us five. And then through that, we can connect around. So that's the simple thing. Wealthy Nomad Life. On Instagram, you will find these three phrases.
Perfect. And wealth in so many ways. This family bond and connection is
The trips we make and the connections we make.
Yes. Thank you. Well, thank you both. Well, thank all three of you.
Yes,
Thank
all three of you.
We look forward to seeing you, like Kent said, in person in Bali
Yes.
soon.
Same
I know,
here.
exactly.
See you in a few weeks.
I know.
Absolutely, guys. Thanks again for doing this. And you are all about Frenchitivity. That's what this is all about. So
I know, I love that.
Thank you
It's
for being
lovely.
you. Hi, you reached Kent, Michelle, and Everly French. We're unavailable right now, but please leave your name and number at the tone, and we'll get back to you real soon from somewhere around the world.
Kept Michelle and Everly spreading Frenchitivity all over the world. This entire family creating possibilities all over the world. Frenchitivity, Frenchitivity all over the world. Frenchitivity, possibilities all over the world. Come on, take a ride. Take a look inside this world of mystery. It's Frenchitivity. Frenchitivity, Frenchitivity, all over the world. Frenchitivity, possibilities, all over the